الحمد لله رب العالمين أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله اللهم صل على محمد وعلى أزواجه وذريته كما صليت على آل إبراهيم وبارك على محمد وعلى أزواجه وذريته كما باركت على آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. Inshallah, we continue with Al-Imam Ibn Al-Qayyim alayhi rahmatullah and his book The Disease and the Cure, الداء والدواء. And today is the 25th of Jumada al-Ula 1437, matching the 5th of March 2016. Now the Sheikh last time he started a subject where he says that from the evil consequences, from the punishments of the sins, is that those sins, they serve like a supply, like a provision, assistance and help from the human himself to the shaitan, who is his enemy, against himself. By committing sins and disobediences, one is supplying, providing, helping, assisting the shaitan with the arms and with the weapons just to attack him back, to get at him. So he started talking about this, that these are, as I mentioned, supply. Sins are a supply to the shaitan, supplies to the shaitan to wage the war against this human himself. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tested the human with this enemy, the shaitan, that never splits away, never departs from him. He is never heedless from the human. He can see the human cannot see him, and he does not spare any means to attack this human. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows subhanahu wa ta'ala that he sent this enemy over the human being. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala supplied, assisted the human with army men, with soldiers, with help, with assistance. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had this deal with the human, and that is the contract of al-jihad, to strive in the cause of Allah against the shaitan and its allies. So he mentioned the meaning of the ayah from Surah At-Tawbah, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bought from the believers their wealth and their souls, that the price will be paradise. That is, by the way, in Surah At-Tawbah, ayah number 111. Brother Shah was asking for that surah, the number of that. I mentioned Surah At-Tawbah, it's the ayah 111. So 111, 111. Right? So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bought from the believers their souls and their wealth, for paradise will be theirs. They fight in the way of Allah, they kill and they get killed. فَيَقْتُلُونَ وَيُقْتَلُونَ. Right? This is a promise from him in the Torah, the Injil and the Qur'an. Right? Then Allah commands the believers to rejoice, to be happy with this deal that they had with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And he mentioned to them that there is no one who fulfills his promises, his contracts, his agreements more than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There is no success that is better than this. He goes on to say that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did not send the shaitan against his most beloved creation, the human, right? Except that jihad is the most beloved action, the most beloved deed to him. So he made the human, the servant of Allah, the believing servant, that is the most beloved to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, is the believing servant, right? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had the believing servant perform jihad. That is because it is the most beloved deed to him subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala supplied the believing servant with the angels, al-mu'aqqibat, those who protect him by the command of Allah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent the messengers to him with the revelation. That is another help and assistance. Allah gave him aql, intellect. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also gave him the knowledge. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave him iman, faith, belief, and He gave him even more than that, yaqeen, which is certainty of faith, certainty of belief. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also gave him different types of powers or strength, outward and inward, right? So he said that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also taught him how to conduct this war. And He summarized for him this fight with the shaitan in 4 things. Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu, O you who believe, isbiru, be patient. Wasabiru, be patient towards the enemy. Warabitu, be at the borderline, protecting, yourselves from the enemy, right? Protecting Islam and Muslims from the enemy. Warabitu wattaqullah, and have taqwa. Taqwa is something that will gather all of these together, right? Then he started talking about the meeting of the 2 armies now. They are fighting. They are lining up. The soldiers are lining up in front of each other, and how sometimes this party wins, sometimes the other party wins, right? So then the shaitan, he knows that he cannot get to this believing servant except from the closest, the most closest of the inner circle of this human being, right? So he asked about that. Then they told him it's an-nafs, the soul, right? So now he said, attack, launch an attack, speak, enter upon the soul from the things that it wants, things that it desires. Find out what does this soul loves and what is it interested in. So you enter from that side. He goes on, in Qushu Surat al-Mahbub, carve the image of what this soul loves. Carve the image of that in the soul while it's asleep, while it's awake. Make the soul busy with those desires that it loves. So if it becomes at peace, having comfort with that, then now you throw, as he says, كَلَلِيبِ الشَّهْوَةِ وَخَطَاطِيفِ الشَّهْوَةِ. You throw now the clamps and the hooks of lusts and desire. And now you can clamp this soul and hook it and then drag it towards the evil that the shaitan wants. So then he goes on to say that there are places of entry where the shaitan wants to enter from. Those places of entry, they resemble the fortress or the fortified cities. You know how if 2 countries are fighting, you have places where you have a watchtower, you have a city that is fortified with army, with weapons, with soldiers, and so on and so forth, right? So these places, right, these are the places where the enemy might attack from and enter to the other country. Likewise, he says, for the human, these thughur, these places that must be fortified, right, they are the eye, they are the ear, they are the tongue, the mouth, the hand, and the foot. Al-ayn wal-udhun wal-lisan wal-fam wal-yad wal-rijl, right? So he tells, the shaitan tells his soldiers, now you need to stand there, lay in wait at those places of entry, right? So whenever you get a chance, you will go through to the human from these places, right? So we reached a point where he said, now if you take over these places of entry, إذا استوليتم على هذه الثغور, now you go to these very sensitive places, right? الثغور, then فامنعوا ثغر العين أن يكون نظره اعتبارا. Do not let the eye to look at something, a look of taking a lesson, a look of benefiting a lesson or an admonishment. Rather, make the eye look at things. بل اجعلوا نظره تفرجا واستحسانا وتلهيا. Make the eye look at things just from the aspect of watching, from the aspect of viewing beautiful things and pictures and amusing yourself. You know, the eye is looking just for amusement, not to take a lesson. He said, فَإِنْ اسْتَرَقَ نَظْرَةَ عِبْرَةٍ فَأَفْسِدُوهَا عَلَيْهِ. If the eyes of that person looked at something in a way that they are deriving a lesson from it, then corrupt it for him. How? Corrupt it for him بنظرة الغفلة والاستحسان والشهوة. Corrupt it with another look, a look of heedlessness, غفلة, the look of just seeking to see beautiful things, istihsan, and the look of lust and desire. He said, فإنه أقرب إليه وأعلق بنفسه. For that, this look of just amusing yourself and enjoyment is closer to his soul. And he's more attached to that. Of course, you look at things beautiful and this, more so than you look at things to take a lesson and to benefit and to understand and go deep into things, right? He said, أخف عليه. This look of amusing yourself is much lighter for him. دونكم ثغر العين فإن منه تنالون بغيتكم. He says to his soldiers, you get the eye, go to the eye, right? That is the place where you will get what you want from this person. فإني ما أفسدت بني آدم بشيء مثل النظر. I have not corrupted, this is the shaitan speaking now, I have not corrupted the children of Adam with anything like looking. فإني أبذر به في القلب بذر الشهوة. I cast by the look, I cast the seed in the heart, that is, I cast in the heart the seed of lust and desire. ثم أسقيه بماء الأمنية. Then I irrigate this seed, I water this seed with the water of wishful thinking, false hopes, أمنية. Right? I just put the seed there, you look at something, you like it. Then now, the seed is there and you're going to get this, what you want. Take it. You can do this. You can get it. Right? This is how he starts giving him hopes and wishes. ثم لا أزال أعده وأمنيه حتى أقوي عزيمته. Then I continue to promise him and give him the hopes up until I strengthen his willpower. His willpower to sin, that is. Right? وأقوده بزمام الشهوة إلى الانخلاع من العصمة. I will drive him, right, with the rope, with the bridle of lust. I pull him to make him get out of protecting himself from sins. He was so much protective. Now by looking and putting the seed and trying to drag him a little bit and then pulling him with the rope or the bridle of desires, then you can pull him to just get out of being chased no more get out of this and commit sins والعياذ بالله. He says to his soldiers, فَلَا تُهْمِلُوا أَمْرَ هَذَا الثَّغْرِ. Do not ignore this place of entry, this place that is supposed to be fortified, يعني the eye. وَأَفْسِدُوهُ بِحَسَبِ اسْتِطَاعَتِكُمْ. Corrupt it as much as you are able to do that. وَهَوِّنُوا عَلَيْهِ أَمْرَهُ. Make the affair of looking, make it look to him, make it sound, something that is very little, very small. هَوِّنُوا. Right? Make it, not important. It's a trivial thing, just a look. Right? قُولُوا لَهُ. Say to him, ما مقدار نظرة تدعوك إلى تسبيح الخالق. What is the extent of a look that will invite you to glorify the Creator? Right? You look at beautiful things, right? Tell him that you are going to glorify the Creator. وَالتَّأَمُّلِ لِبَدِيعِ صُنْعِهِ. You are now just reflecting and examining how beautiful, how great the creation of Allah is. How Allah made things so badi', meaning so excellent, so good. Right? Badi'. Allah badi'u as-samawati wal-ard. Right? وحسن هذه الصورة. The beauty of this image that you're looking at, التي إنما خلقت ليستدل أو ليستدل بها الناظر عليه. Look how beautiful this image is, which it was only created so that it will be used as a proof by the one who's looking. The one who's looking, he will use it as a proof, right? That Allah is the Creator, subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَمَا خَلَقَ اللَّهُ لَكَ الْعَيْنَيْنِ سُدًا. Allah did not create the two eyes for you just without purpose, in vain, sudan, right? وَمَا خَلَقَ هَذِهِ الصُّورَةَ لِيَحْجُبَهَا عَنِ النَّظَرِ. Allah did not create this image so that He will veil it from being looked at. وَإِن ظَفَرْتُمْ بِهِ قَلِيلَ الْعِلْمِ فَاسِدَ الْعَقْلِ. If you now catch someone who has little knowledge, whose intellect is corrupt, right? If you find someone like that, then he says, فَقُولُوا لَهُ. Then tell him, هَذِهِ الصُّورَةُ مَظْهَرٌ مِّن مَظَاهِرِ الْحَقِّ. Actually, tell him this image that you're looking at, وَالْعِيَاذُ بِاللَّهِ, is nothing but a manifestation of the truth, يعني Allah manifesting Himself in this image, right? وَمَجْلًا مِّن مَجَالِهِ. This is only Allah unveiling Himself to you, right? وَالْعِيَاذُ بِاللَّهِ. فَادْعُوهُ إِلَى الْقَوْلِ بِالِاتِّحَادِ. Now you can call him, you invite him to the position of the belief of the unity of existence, right? That يعني Allah is united with the creation. فَإِن لَمْ يَقْبَلْ. If he does not accept, فَالْقَوْلُ بِالْحُلُولِ الْعَامِ أَوْ الْخَاصِ. Then you should drag him to believing into incarnation, وَالْعِيَاذُ بِاللَّهِ, pantheism, incarnation. Whether it is general incarnation or specific incarnation. Incarnation يعني Allah residing in some of His creation, right? Either in all of them, as some believe in that, or in some of them, like the Nasara believe that Allah is incarnate, يعني Isa is Allah incarnate. That's what they, right? He presented Himself in the image of Isa, alayhi salatu wassalam, right? So either call him to general, يعني Allah is in everything, or specific, Allah resides in one specific thing or individual, right? وَلَا تَقْنَعُ مِنْهُ بِدُونِ ذَلِكَ. Do not be convinced with something that is less than that. Why? Yani there is one thing that you look at something and they tell you, oh, look how beautiful it is, and still it's a sin. But then if you move now to believe that this is a manifestation of Allah, he says, do not be convinced with less than that if you can. If he is someone who has a corrupt mind, someone who doesn't understand, right? He said, فَإِنَّهُ يَصِيرُ بِهِ مِنْ إِخْوَانِ النَّصَارَى. because this way he will become one of the brothers of the Christians, right? He will be outside of Islam, no more a sinner, he will be outside of Islam. فَمُرُوهُ حِينَئِذٍ بِالْعِفَّةِ وَالصِّيَانَةِ. Now if he believes in that, now you command him, يعني the shayateen, now you command him with what? With chastity and protecting himself, and al-ibadah was-zuhada or zuhd fi dunya, with worship. Command him to worship and to be far away, be disinterested in worldly pleasures, right? Because now he has a false belief which made him outside of Islam, right? And now he looks like, so much worshipping, so much, devoted to worship, away from the worldly pleasures. These types of people, they will attract others much more than those who are involved in worldly pleasures. He said, that's why he said, وَاصْطَادُوا عَلَيْهِ وَبِهِ الْجُهَّالِ. With this, you can catch, right? You can hunt. Stiyad, stada, you hunt, right? You hunt through him and with him, right? By him and through him, the ignorant people. He says, فَهَذَا مِنْ أَقْرَبِ خُلَفَائِ. For this person now has become from the closest of my successors. Khalifa, khulafa, right? So the shaitan, he has a khalifa too. He has khulafa actually, right? He says this is from the best, the closest of my successors. وَأَكْبَرِ جُنْدِي, the greatest of my soldiers. Rather he says, بَلْ أَنَا مِنْ جُنْدِهِ وَأَعْوَانِهِ, but rather even more, not he is from my soldiers, I am from the biggest soldiers and allies and helpers of him, right? So this is this place which is the I, right? He moves on to the other place of entry, right? The other sensitive place, and that is the ear, right? And now he will start advising his soldiers what to do with the ear, right, of the human, and how they can corrupt him, and how they can drag him to sins and disobediences through the ear. So there's only 5 minutes left to Salah, so I will stop here, and inshallah we continue next week with the ear. Then after that, more extensive talk about another body part, another entry, which is one of the worst, and that is the tongue, right? The tongue. So next time we'll do the ear, and then after that the tongue, inshallah ta'ala. And you can see how he's presenting this in a like sort of a battle, and soldiers and enemies and all of that, right? So it's kind of, yani, alhamdulillah, interesting. So we'll do that with him next week, inshallah. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. Yes.
General question from online number.
Okay.
About Salah. Sound share. Remember, while in the Salah, remember next to him recites the dhikr louder. He couldn't concentrate his Salah. And from the beginning to the end,
yes,
even after adhkar, please advise us what we have to do in this situation.
Yes. Yes. So he's asking about someone who is next to him in Salah, and he is reciting or doing dhikr loud. يعني مصلي